Go ahead, Kelly.
On the southern border of the United States, Customs and Border Protection has some new preliminary numbers about unaccompanied minors crossing in March, and they are way, way up. 18,500, again, preliminary number, but a big jump, suggesting it's more than seasonal, suggesting it's more than just the conditions on the ground. Is there a sense now that the administration needs to do something different in terms of the message of this is not the time to come, but children who are unaccompanied will be protected and cared for and be able to stay? Is there any movement on that as the message?
That continues to be our message, and we continue to look for ways to project it more broadly and more effectively in the region. But that is a sliver of what our efforts are, and we don't feel that simply telling people with more PSAs not to come, that is going to be the only way to reduce the number of people who are taking the journey. So in addition to that, we of course have these conversations that started last week that will be ongoing and will continue with our envoy and our officials who will be working with governments and officials in the Northern Triangle to talk about addressing conditions and talk about reducing the temptation to travel. Some of that will of course be aid and assistance and a discussion of that. The President's proposed $4 billion in his own plan, but some of it will be of course continuing to communicate directly with the region. And we also will continue to reiterate that our policy remains in place in terms of implementing Title 42 authority, and that the vast majority of adults are turned away. These numbers are certainly, we are not naive about the challenge, but what our focus is on is solutions and actions to help address the unaccompanied minors who are coming across the border and making it less of an incentive to come, including also continuing to implement the Central American Minors Program so kids can apply and people under 18 can apply from in-country.
Does the President see the Vice President's role in stewardship of this issue, dealing with more than diplomacy and dealing with some of the operational issues that are being dealt with along the border with the Bureau and Border Patrol and HHS?
No, that's a role that, of course, the Department of Homeland Security is playing. Alan Mayorkas, the Secretary, who has a great deal of experience dealing with challenges at the border and implementing it. Now we also have a Secretary of Health and Human Services who is in place, who can work in partnership, and they have oversight, as you know, over a number of the shelters, and that's a key part of the partnership. But the Vice President's role is really focused on the Northern Triangle.
Go ahead.
Following up there, if it's such a pressing issue, I know you've been asked this in the room before, but it's such a pressing issue, why hasn't the administration named a CBP commissioner or an ICE director yet?
Those are certainly important roles and ones that we are eager to fill. I don't have an update on the personnel there, but we also have a number of experienced leaders, including the Secretary of Homeland Security, who had served as Deputy Secretary in the past, and others throughout the agencies who are implementing our work on a